So we're gonna start with the monstrosity truck pretty much with this build. I'm waiting on parts and then I can really get hammering on this. When it came to the shop, it literally didn't have the cab on it. There was nothing, you know, the shocks were on it, but it was basically pretty dismantled, which was fine, you know. What we're gonna do for the new owner is the radiator's coming out. Matt put a humongous tractor trailer air cleaner on it, which is a great idea. It's awesome. You know, this wasn't built by his shop. You know, I got to give this guy a lot of credit. This was built in his garage in his backyard, and it's a very good truck. You know, the numbers are really close. This thing is pretty square. You know, like a lot of thought went into this. He ran his radiator lines through the frame, which you don't see that a lot in the north because of the like thaw freeze. You know, people forgot to put antifreeze in their systems. But we're gonna swap out the radiator. Right now, we just pop the back shafts out, make sure the wheel bearings are all good. We're gonna seal them all back up. I'm gonna go through and grind and clean these axles up so they're smooth as a baby's ass. Sway bars are good, drive line's good, T-case is good. Like I said, we're gonna put a set of 18-inch Big Shock bonsais on there. Coming into here, we're gonna just clean this truck right up. Right now, I got it flipped around there because the front wheel bearings were smoked. So that'll have all new bearing seals, grease packed. Inside, I haven't even been inside yet. That'll be last. Up front here, I moved the motor forward about 1.5 feet. This engine was literally in. Now, if this thing was to bottom out, this thing would destroy the oil pan. So what I'm gonna do is put an oversized helmet that I have already made for this. So the oil pan goes right between the link bars and goes right on down and gives you about a good inch of clearance. You know, I mean, I used to put things 1/8 of an inch. I'll give it a good inch. We're gonna throw some bump stops on it, new limit straps, and then have this thing rocking and rolling by March. Just the engine builder has the new push rods and the rocker. That was what ended up getting hurt at Iron Horse. Those will be fixed here probably this week. So this thing will actually be 100%, and then I'm gonna take it apart because that's just what I do because I'm just not smart. This thing here, sold the 5 tons out of this thing. This thing is gonna get a custom hater kit. I was actually gonna let it be a surprise until I rolled into Louisiana Mud Fest, but I'm doing some custom fab work to a set of 2.5 tons. It's a hater kit, but we're gonna put Meritor C's on the outer, so the whole outside is Meritor, truss the front, so I can literally beat the living shit out of this thing and not even skip a beat as just what it was before. Same shocks, same power plant. Gonna put the 23 ones back on it. They're gonna be cut, and then we're just gonna try to shave about 1,500 pounds off this truck.
Did I hear it's getting a new body?
No.
Okay, I heard that wrong. So
Yeah.
you see, guys,
Yeah.
when you speculate online, this guy said this guy said that.
I will go until this body falls off of this truck because why fix the body doesn't run the truck. The body just keeps the mud off you.
Gives it character.
That's
for
it.
sure.
That's it. Brian still owes me a door. So
Right.
just leave it at that.
And the heater kit.
Yep.
Where's this coming from? What kind of axles is it going into?
I got a combination of things going on here. I got a lot of my outers from Bryce down in Florida. I'm getting my rear kit from Neil Harrison, the shafts, the spool, the flanges. I'm gonna run 2-inch Violator inner shafts in the front with a spool. So this thing will be going back to Posse. Dusty Ramaker, I'm getting my C's from for the axles and my steering rams and probably my pinion brakes. A lot of this stuff I could make, but I really rather just kind of spread the wealth, you know, because they send a little bit of work my way, I send a little bit theirs.
Y'all gonna start believing them hater kids now, right?
Yeah. He proved it.
Oh yeah.
So this truck came in. This is Jeremiah and Nathan Hansen's truck out of Connecticut. They bought this truck. They're working on it together, father-son duo. And this thing's gonna be bad. This thing is gonna be nasty. These 3 that you're seeing in this shop right now are gonna just, it's nasty. So this thing came in, I was gonna just redo the 4-link because it was a 14.9 truck. Now it's gonna be a 23.1 truck. So we had to lower the subframe and waiting on parts, finish the 4-link. I got talking to him last week and I'm like, listen man, let me just finish the truck so that you can just drop the motor in. I won't even say how big the motor is, I'll let that be a surprise, but it's like 500 and high cubic inch motor, right? Hater kit, again, and again, it's not like, you know, I love all my Southern buddies and like, you know, it's not that the hater kit is the shit, because this 5-ton thing whooped most of your asses down there when I was down there last year. It's just that it's light, so, and we don't go to that many events anymore, so why not make it as durable and as light as we can? So this will be a hater kit. By the time this thing leaves here, we're putting a set of 20-inch FOA shocks on it. Keep this thing light, pretty simple. By the time this thing goes back to them, I'm planning on it'll literally just have to have the motor dropped in, and they'll be able to do that, mock up some tranny lines and get her going. We're shooting to have this one done in April. I think we're going to stretch it just a little bit further now, so it gives me some time to kind of just fine tune this thing for them guys.
And what year is this body?
I'm not sure.
It's
I mean,
a GMC if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
I would say 60s. You know, I would say 65 maybe, 65, 66, if I had to guess, you know.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It says GMC right on it.
Yep, Gumka. So
Paint by RJJ Customs.
that's out of Florida.
All right.
This truck came out of Florida. So.
What do you think about this setup? And we've seen this back in the day from Fat Guy Customs. He had on his truck where you have your positive, negative, and shut off in case of a rollover.
Yeah.
Is this something you're going to implement this year, maybe possibly on some of the things?
Yes and no. You know, like a lot of guys, like back in the day, like this truck was built quite a few years ago, 10 plus or more. I don't know the exact history, but I do remember the truck. And a lot of these guys back then, you know, they ran like one battery, they ran a magneto, they didn't run an alternator, you know what I mean? So they were just kind of racing. So it's just kind of like that one shot, go back, put it on the charger and run it again. The kill switch on the back of the truck is a really good idea, just in case, you know, you're doing freestyle racing, kind of anything really, because it's like if something goes real bad, 95% of us have the master switch in the truck. So if you get like knocked out in the truck and something's going bad, and it's just gonna keep going, you know?
Right.
So
wouldn't that be say I'm just brainstorming from idea from a safety standpoint on freestyle? Okay, we'll take freestyle for example, even the mud racing. I mean, I do see quite a few people run this, right? But they're always in this position, that position. So for a recovery team, it's kind of, you know, trucks rolled over, your adrenaline's rushing, you got to do your job. But if they're in a different position on every other truck,
well, that's the hard. So like when I started building trucks, you know, years and years ago, I tried to make everyone different. You know, I was like, you know, I'm gonna make this subframe different, make this inside different, make the wiring different, just so each one was unique. The problem with that is each one is unique. As I've gotten older and built more trucks for people, you know, it's unique to that person. But if you make it so it's all the same, you know, like there's a guy out of Florida, Dirty Dave, right? He builds all these 4-door and 6-door trucks, and he builds them all pretty similar. Subframes are the same, but that's a good thing. You know, it's like from a fabricator standpoint, it does get boring because it is the same thing. This is just my opinion. But on the other hand, everything's the same. You know where everything is, and you just know how it is. Right. Now, the thing that I see nowadays is, and it's changed. You know, it's not as crazy as it used to be. Things are way more diversified. You have your guys showing up for freestyle. You have your guys showing up to race, and you have your guys who are still just your mud boggers. But some of the mud bog trucks nowadays are 1,000 horse. You know.
Yeah,
and
Joe Bishop is one.
Yeah, and like that's a great example of a truck that can race, jump, and bog. You know, so and that's fast and it's light and things can go, and he can't ever keep it on all 4 wheels. So so you gotta be able to reach this shit. You know, so it's like this is basically just for jump starting the vehicle. This here is not really a bad idea. I mean,
that's what I was kind of shooting towards, is if this is positioned, say, on the driver's side on most of the vehicles, at least when a truck is competing in...
well, the reason you want it on the back, for the most part, is you don't want to stick it to one side, passenger or driver, because if you roll over and you're on that side down, it doesn't do any good.
Makes sense.
So if it's more in the center of a truck, whether it be the front or the back, unless you go ass over tea kettle, you know, and even still, if you go ass over tea kettle, this will still be able to reach. The sides are kind of difficult because if a truck goes in the mud, if it flips over and it lands on the passenger side,
yeah,
then you're still screwed.
Well, that's just something to think about, guys. When you're building trucks, I mean, that's not a bad idea to have in a reachable position for the recovery team in case they got to get you out and shut the power to your truck, you know.
Well, we've
seen it before. Throttles being stuck wide open.
Yeah. No, you're going to see a lot of this stuff changing here because even though we're 15, 20 years into, even like with TGW, you know, like they're like 15 years deep, right? I think.
Probably.
So in 15 years, it's like we're still in the beginning stages of this stuff. Like it's still not even reached its full potential to where like, you know, like they have the TV show for it. You know, Monster Jam has a lot of these smaller trucks that would run at Monster Jam shows. It's coming to where this is going to be its own thing, you know? So, and I'm not saying that everybody has to have all this shit and whatnot, but it's coming. And, you know, for another $100 between this and the lines it takes you to do it, you know, it's really not a big deal. I'm not saying I'm going to put it on all my trucks, but it is a really good idea.
It's an option to have if you wish to have it. So you guys, if you're the owners of some of these trucks and you want that implemented into your truck for another safety feature for the recovery team, in case things go south, you know, let Adam know.
These are nice. I always like these. That they're on equipment and all this stuff, and they are good. But like for the most part, I've never really had an issue with my charging system and stuff. So
for sure,
never really needed it. So, but it is a good idea.
And I believe Dusty, doesn't he sell that part where you have a secondary person?
The RII.
Yes.
Yeah, that
shut down. I mean, that's a little more expensive unit.
No, it's $300.
Really?
It's literally like $300 to like add that to your truck, and like the way that it's going. You know, well, like I said, a lot of these trucks now, you know, it's like if you were to put a bone stock 454 in this truck, that was the standard quite a few years ago. Now, this is your normal truck rolling into an event. 800 to 1100 horsepower. A lot of guys don't know even how to handle them, you know, that they don't even know how to drive them, you know, and that's not a put down. It's just that like these things can get it, you know, and I always talk a lot of shit that like these guys do this racing, they're literally doing like 50 miles an hour by the time they get from A to B in a mud truck. You spend all this money on a race truck to go 50 miles an hour, right? Where a drag car goes 150 miles an hour. But still, the traction that these things have and how fast it can go bad, you know.